Hi everyone, it's Sue. Welcome back. Today I'm just making some scrappy notebook. Part of my group this month, the swap is scrappy notebooks. So I'm going to join in, and I thought what I'd do is I'd just use my Nature's collage kit. This digital is available in my shop, so I'll put the link down below for that. So I'm going to use this as my base. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So that's the kit. I've got bits and pieces of coffee dyed paper, some packaging paper, some music paper, and the scraps that I'm going to put in there, I think probably the most of them I'm going to actually emboss. So I've got these, all these embossing folders here that I thought might be nice to use. So these are really quick and easy to put together. And for some reason I couldn't get my printer to print without borders today, so I was too impatient to try and work it out. So I'm just going to cut these off, cut the white bits off. So I want them to be, let me have a think about this. Printed these on 110 GSM paper, so they're sturdier than your normal copy paper, but not quite cardboard weight. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to just fold these over, probably about that much, which is about 3 3/4 inches. And I'm going to cut down here. Cut that excess bit off, and I'll probably end up embossing some of that and putting it in here as well. So my idea is just so that the base of the scrappy booklet is a little bit sturdier, I'll glue these two sides together. I may actually go around and sew these, I think now. I wasn't going to. And then this will just fold over the top. So I've just got to work out which piece I want to fold over, and I'll probably do it that way so that this is on the back. So I hope I'm making sense. It'll make more sense once we get going. So I'm just going to work out, so that's about 3 3/4 I've cut off the end. So I'm just going to go and trim off the white on all of these and cut the 3 3/4 off the on the long side, and then come back and we'll put these together. All right, so I've cut the 3 3/4 off the long side of these A4 sheets and all the white pieces. And what I'm going to do, I might just move these. So these are all the bits left from the printables there. So I'm just going to fold all of these in half basically, and then I'll work out which side I want to be shown on the back. I obviously had this printed out twice, so I just cut it a little bit differently. Or did I? Yes, I cut it differently to the other one. Okay, all of those are folded in half. And the reason I'm just doing that is so that I get something pretty front and back. Now I just want to work out which side I want to fold over the top. So you'll see some of this. And this is where you're going to actually add your papers underneath here. I think that now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roughly ink around these, because some of these have a white edge where I just didn't quite get the whole border off. So I'm going to quickly ink around all of these, front and back, and then I'm going to take them to my sewing machine and I'm just going to sew all around the 4 sides. So I'll do that and I'll be back as soon as I've done that. All right, so I've sewn all around those and inked around them. Sorry about the noise in the background if you can hear that. It's got really hot here, so I've had to turn the fan on. So where I sit, I don't get much of a breeze coming through the room, so I just hope it's not too noisy. All right, now I'm going to go through and work out which way I want to fold these, and then I'm just going to just ink a little bit once I've folded them, ink on the edges, and then I'm just going to burnish the top. I'm not measuring what I fold them down. You only need to be something like that. That's about 3/4 of an inch. You can do more if you want to. I'll just fold this one down here. So once again, you don't have to sew. I just like to sew. I just love the effect that it gives. I don't know, they're all so pretty, aren't they? It doesn't really matter, to be quite honest, because I'm going to add probably eyelets in the top and some ribbon, so you're not going to see a lot of this. And the last one, oh, I don't know. It's so hard to make a decision which one I want to fold over. So these aren't all going to be the same height, and I'm okay with that. It's a great way really not to have to measure too much. Okay, so you can see we're sort of got the bases, and we're going to put embossed papers in underneath here. So they look really pretty. And then you can just clip them in or pop them in a pocket in your journal, and then you've got the pretty decorative side there as well. Okay. Now, I'm going to use some of these in here. Now, I just want to cut... probably don't really have to. I'm just having a look. I was just going to say I'll probably cut some of them down. I might just cut a little slither off them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these in the top part. So in the top of the, so I won't use that one there. Maybe have it on here, and I'm going to emboss it, but I'm going to have layered papers, embossed papers, so you can see the underneath papers as well, if that makes sense. So I'm going to, what am I going to do? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to emboss all these different papers that I think I want to use in these scrappy notebooks. So I showed you the papers that I've got here. So I'm going to just go and do some mass embossing with my Big Shot. I'll show you a little bit of that if you haven't done embossing before. I'm sure majority of you have. If you don't have a machine, you can just do this with just plain paper. You don't have to emboss it all. So I'll head off and I'll do that. We'll come back and then we'll put the layered paper pads together. So I have embossed with embossing folders, whatever you want to call them. So I've done lots of different papers. These are just stunning to add into these. So now what am I going to do? So I just want to, obviously I want the first one to be about the length of the little folder thing, and then I'm just going to build up from there. So these I wanted to use on the top, like the last layer. So we might try and get some different embossing folders, embossed pieces, sorry, with a different pattern. And I don't know, we might just do say 3 or 4. What do you think? Could even do that. It really doesn't matter, but see, you can see the bits and pieces, the different papers, and then this one I'm just going to put in the top here, and I'm going to tear it so that we can still see the one underneath that. So basically that is our scrappy notepad. I'm just going to put it in there like that, and that's what you see. Okay, now what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to put an eyelet through them. So I'm just trying to line that up, or 2 eyelets, and tie it with some ribbon or some lace. Okay, you might tap it down like that and pop it in like that. So I think they look pretty. What I might do is I'm going to just put a staple just right in the center there, and then I'll put an eyelet either side of the staple, just so that I can keep them together until I actually get the eyelets in there. So I'm just going to eyeball approximately the center, and I mean, you could leave it at that if you wanted to. Nothing wrong with that at all. But I'm going to add 2 eyelets and tie it off with some ribbon or sari silk or something like that. So I'm going to just add some more papers, and as I said, I'm going to try not to think too much about what I'm adding where. So the first one I'm just going to tear off to the length, pretty much the length of the scrappy pad, and then just add pieces. This is going to be upside down, but it doesn't matter. 2. I'm trying to get different embossed patterns. So we can even do that, because we can see that there, and then we'll finish off with a piece of the printed one. I just don't particularly want to get the same one as what I've used, but that's okay, we could use that one. So I'm just going to line that up and just tear that randomly along there like that. So you don't have to emboss, you can even just add any of your scraps, you can just do them plain. I just thought these would be nice just to have a little bit of texture. There you have another one. You can add more than 4 sheets, but I just think with the embossing it sort of starts adding a little bit of thickness to them. So I'm going to keep going. I want something that's a little bit longer. here. So you can see they all come together so quickly. Okay, so some of these are getting a little bit shorter. So this one I'm running out of. I thought I would have had enough paper, embossed paper, but I'm running out of it. So this one I'm just making it, you know, much shorter, but it's still a scrappy notepad. Now, some of you might say, well, what do you use it for? So you don't have to have any use for it. It can just be decorative and be put in a journal. But these are even a great idea. You can tear these off and use these in your collages in your journal. So and then you can always refill them, or like upcycle, recycle the backing piece, this backing piece for a journal card or something. So there's excuse me, lots of different things that you can do. Okay, so we're getting really, really low on the embossed pieces. So these couple, I'm just going to use some scraps. So I'm going to, I've got some papers here. So I'm just going to cut some of these down to, I think it was 3.5 I cut them to. Okay, so let's have a look what we've got. So that looks just as nice, and with the coffee dye paper with lace transfer on there, it still gives it a little bit of texture. I think we've got one more. We can do the same sort of thing. Just pop that in there. Really slim pickings here now, isn't it? There we go. So it just goes to show you can use whatever you've got. Now I'm not going to throw out these smaller pieces, I will, but these I'm going to keep because they'll come in handy for other projects. So I'm just going to pop them, I'll pop them in my scrap box. And these just look really lovely, don't they? I think they do. So I'm going to add a couple of eyelets, I love that. And that one. I'm going to add a couple of eyelets to each one, just either side of this staple. Okay, so I've just grabbed some, I don't know, this is an offcut from something that my neighbour gave me. She's a dressmaker, so it's not satin. Okay, so it tears that way. All right, so I'm just going to tear some strips of this off. And I'm going to use this, the tulle, and this gold, I think, to tie off the top. Okay, so all I'm going to do is just probably layer some of these together. I was hoping that these might be a bit longer. This one's fairly long, but I don't want it that long. And then I'm going to add a little bit of this gold in. We'll have a look. It might be too much, but we'll just have a look. So I'm just going to thread it through the eyelet. And back out the other side. Just a really scrappy bow. So that is really scrappy and there's a lot happening there. You could even add just a bulb pin or something with some beads, or just a charm would be really pretty. I think I'm going to leave that like that at the moment. This one I'm just going to add maybe a double layer of this gold. See what that looks like. But you could do anything. Could put satin ribbon, satin seam binding, sari silk. Same thing, you don't have to put eyelets in, you could even just put lace across the top. So that one's just got some gold in it. So you get the idea. Might do one with maybe just tulle and the gold. Threads everywhere. So I've gone pretty much tonal with what the papers are. You could do something completely, like you could bring out the blue. May even do that. I'm not sure whether I've got some seam binding that will fit with that. So I might go and have a look after this and just pop that in there just to give it a different look. Okay, I don't like that one quite as much, but anyway, we will leave it. They're meant to be scrappy. Okay, so I'm going to see if I've got some blue that I can put in there with that one. I've got some green, so I'm going to put some green in these two. green in these two and maybe blue in the other two. Okay, so I'll just tie these off and then I'll just show you them all finished. My bows are shocking. I like the green in this one. Apparently if you tie your bows upside down, they turn out better. I think they're right. Tie your bows upside down and they turn out so much better. Look at that. Still not great, but definitely better. Now, if you don't like crumpled satin seam binding, you can even iron them if you want to. I quite like the look, so I'm quite happy with all of those. I think they'll all have their place. So some of these will go to the swap. I'll put my group down below as well if you wanted to join the group and join in the swaps. I'd love to have you, so I'll just show you these. I just love the texture and you know, the different colors. So you've got a pretty back there, and that side's pretty as well. So it's a decorative piece, but as I said, you can also tear these out and use them in your collages, that type of thing. A bit of tulle hanging off that. So they come together pretty quickly. The biggest part probably is doing all the embossing. That's the part that takes the time. And I love the layers just so that you can see a little snippet of what's underneath. So these are not as embossed, not as so you can see the difference, you know. I mean, they're not bulky because they just squash down, but the texture just makes it look a little bit more bulky. So I like that one with the green, and that one. So, and then the blue. They're just really pretty. So there we go. 2, 4, 6, 8 little scrappy notebooks. So that's just one version of scrappy notebooks. Some of these, as I said, will go into the swap. Some of these will go into my journals. I've had fun. I hope you have too. So take care, everyone. And until next time, I hope you get a little bit of creative time in. See you soon. Bye-bye.